Welcome from my garden, brethren, and welcome from Scotland. Brethren, my name is Vincent. I am the current Worshipful Grand Master of the Ancient Order of Free Gardeners in Scotland. Before starting this talk, I'd like to pay tribute to my predecessor, who sadly passed away in March. Worshipful Brother David Thompson passed away as a Grand Master. May he rest in the Garden of Eden, and the great gardener bless him and keep him. Today I've been asked to give a short talk on the origins of free gardenery in Scotland. As you're all no doubt aware, it has its roots in East Lothian, approximately 30 kilometres from here, and in Haddington, where the first known recorded meeting took place in 1676. However, we need to go back a bit further than that to establish why this became a reality. In 1603, King James VI of Scotland, through the union of the crowns, became King James I of England. In the years that followed, this meant that nobles and the aristocracy from Scotland would visit their counterparts in England. And from this, there would be a realization that their gardens were far more elaborate through the European influences of the time, and also that they had access to vegetables, which at that time were not very prominent in Scotland. Indeed, the Scottish diet prior to this time was a very basic one. So from this point, the nobles and aristocrats in Scotland began to employ gardeners to bring their gardens up to the levels that they had seen in England, and also to grow vegetables for the household. This led to a boom in the number of gardeners in Scotland, and invariably they came together to pool their experience and their resources and their materials to work together for the common good. This then led to the advent of lodges of gardeners or free gardeners, and as we know, that began in Haddington. And it soon spread all over East Lothian to Fife, and then to further parts of Scotland as the requirements grew and grew. So that chronicles the very early stages of free gardenery in Scotland. And these were in the main operative lodges, where there would be no necessarily any degrees worked, but coming together in a lodge meeting to discuss various aspects of gardenery. And as time progressed, there was a clamour amongst non-gardeners to become members of the organisation. And eventually this was allowed. And then what you started to have was speculative free gardeners who weren't there because of gardenery in particular, but because of the fraternal friendship and teachings that gardenery could teach them. And this then heralded a move towards free gardeners, speculative lodges, and the degrees that were then incorporated as we know them at the moment. And these degrees were used to teach the moral truths of life and virtue so that people could live their lives according to these practices. Along with other similar organisations like Freemasons, the lodges grew and grew in number, and the clamour for a governing body began to become apparent. And in 1849, there was a meeting at Lasswade where a number of free gardener lodges came together with the purposes of establishing the Grand Lodge. And this accordingly happened in 1849. They weren't the only Grand Lodge in Scotland, there were a number of other ones at the time. And in 1855, the government brought in what is known as the Friendly Societies Act. And I don't think it is any coincidence that our charter, although it commenced in 1849 as a verbal charter, it was written in 1855, which coincided, as I say, with the beginning of the Friendly Societies Act. And this is the original document from that date. Free Gardenery continued to grow and flourish at this time, and at one point at Hamilton, over 100 lodges gathered under the auspices of our Grand Lodge, where lodges were represented from South Africa, the United States of America, and Australia. So, as I said, friendly societies were now very prominent, and if not all, but most free gardener lodges became friendly societies, where there be a requirement to look after their members in terms of sickness, or in death to look after their widows and orphans. They continued to flourish, and indeed in 1878, as I said previously, the first gardener lodges began in South Africa. But there soon started to be a decline. Because of the two world wars, the effect on membership was significant. But the major change came in 1954 with the advent of the National Health Service and the implementation of the welfare state. This meant that the requirement of the Friendly Society no longer was in vogue, and it very quickly led to a rapid diminishment in the number of members and lodges. To such an extent, by late 1950s, there were barely any lodges left in Scotland. In order to protect our order and to protect our Grand Lodge, it was decided in 1956 to transfer the charter of the Ancient Order of Free Gardeners in Scotland to South Africa, where free gardenery continued to flourish. So in 1956, the formal transfer, as I said, of the Grand Lodge Charter took place, and the Reverend G.E. Jonathan and a Mr. A.J. Domingo travelled to Scotland from South Africa to accept the charter at a convention in Edinburgh. Both visited Kirkcaldy Sheriff Court to discuss the charter with Mr. Archibald McWhirter, former Grand Lodge Bible bearer. At the point of transfer, South Africa had over 100 lodges in vogue. And I actually have some of the original newspaper clippings from that time depicting the transfer of the charter, and you'll be able to see these as the video progresses. So what happened for free gardenery to be born again in Scotland? I was gifted a photograph from a friend way back in the late 1990s, thinking that it was a photograph of the Freemasons, as I am an active member. But it wasn't. It transpired to be a photograph of a lodge of free gardeners which operated out of a town near me called Lochgelly. My father took the photograph to the Grand Lodge of Scotland curator, who confirmed that it was indeed a free gardeners lodge. This ignited a fire in my father to discover more about it. And indeed in 2002, a preservation society for the free gardeners was established here in Scotland. And my father, past Grand Master Gordon Vincent, was a founder member. We then went on to form the Countess of Elgin Lodge of Free Gardeners, which continued to grow, and its membership continued to grow over the years in the early 2000s. And indeed, we were delighted to receive a deputation from the Grand Lodge of Scotland from South Africa to Dysart in 2013. And there's a couple of photographs that you will see, one depicting me with the Grand Master of the time, and one with my father with the Grand Lodge deputation. In the first instance, when Noah sent the dove out of the ark, lo, in the evening it returned with an olive leaf in its mouth as an emblem of peace, signifying that God was again reconciled unto man. In the second instance, when the high priest went into the Holy of Holies once a year to make intercession for the sins of the people, he took in his hand an olive branch as an emblem of peace, showing unto us the peaceful means by which we may again be admitted into the favour of God. In the third instance, when our blessed Lord and Saviour went out to the Mount of Olives to pray, he said, "Tarry ye here until I pray yonder." For these reasons, the olive leaves are selected above all others to contain the whole secrets of free gardenery. And as you'll be aware, the olive leaf is represented by the letter O on our regalia. And this is our standard regalia in the Ancient Order of Free Gardeners Scotland. The S, the N and the A, as you're aware, Solomon, Noah and Adam. Adam, the first head or master gardener, the first degree. Noah, the second degree. Solomon, the king, representing the third degree. The G, the E, the P and the H represent the four rivers or heads that flowed out of the Garden of Eden. The Pison, the Gihon, the Hecadel, and the Euphrates, and of course the Ark. This is the standard regalia we wear in the Ancient Order of Free Gardeners Scotland. And if a sash is to be worn, this is the sash of the Ancient Order of Free Gardeners in Scotland. This is the constitution and laws of our Ancient Order of Free Gardeners in Scotland, and this determines and governs how we go about our business and how we interact with other fraternal bodies in Scotland and beyond. This is a blank charter of the Ancient Order of Free Gardeners in Scotland, which is issued to new lodges when they are consecrated. Our next consecration will take place on the 8th of August in Blairgowrie, where Lodge Rebus number 107 will be consecrated, formed and installed. I saw that bright and glorious star, who saith, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that believeth and putteth his trust in me shall never be ashamed, but shall be made to eat of the tree of life that grows in the midst of the garden of paradise of God, and live for ever and ever. Brethren, you are members of a wonderful fraternity, a wonderful organisation, which appeal now goes worldwide. I implore you to live by the values and edicts, principles of our fantastic order. And remember, may the light of the Lord and the great gardener be with you. May you live in harmony with yourself, with your fellow brethren, with wider mankind, and the land that you live upon. And may truth always guide you and make you the best possible free gardener that you can possibly be. Thank you for the opportunity of addressing you. I wish you all well on your journey in free gardenery. May the great gardener bless and keep you, and Scotland will always have you in our hearts. Thank you.